Today I want to look at the top 5 Indians that you can buy. This is going to cover a wide range of Indians that I have personal experience with, so you're not going to see any AI generated freaking list on here. These are bikes that I've put my hands on, I've ridden, so I know a little bit about them. I've spent some time in the saddle on India motorcycles, so I'm very familiar with them, and that's what I'm going to tell you today. One thing this list is not going to be is some generic, let's just say an Indian Chief. It's going to be a specific Chief. So I'll be able to tell you and distinguish some of these different models. Now, this is not a list necessarily intended at newer riders, although it could be. It's more if you're new to Indian and you're looking, man, I've ridden Harleys all my life, I want to switch or whatever the reason may be, or you're coming from BMW or whatever, and I want to buy an Indian. Which one is best for me? If you like this type of content, make sure you subscribe and hit your notifications so you never miss one from me. I got a lot of reviews out there, including pretty much the whole Indian lineup, so make sure you check those out. Now, the first bike we're going to talk about, coincidentally, is actually a good bike for beginners. This bike is a great entry model, okay? But it can also be a good model for returning riders. And so what makes the Scout 60 good is that you kind of get a good mixture of power, performance, lightweight, easy to maneuver. So if that's the bike you're looking for, this can be a good option. One thing nice about most Indians compared to their Harley counterpart is they're going to give you typically more horsepower and a lot of times more torque as well. So they are engineered, slightly different. Some of them are going to be liquid cooled. And while others may be oil and air cooled, the Scout 60 is a good representation. I mean, you get 78 horsepower out of this bike. If you compare that to something like a Harley, a 48, Sportster 48, which has like 65 horsepower. Now the new Sportster S, a little bit different, like 121 horsepower, but that's a completely different motor as well. So the Scout 60, I'd say, again, returning rider or a new rider, this is a fantastic bike. You're also going to notice with Indian, they do more forward controls than anything, but they also do reduced reach controls if you're a shorter rider. Trust me, it may not seem comfortable at first, but forward controls are the only way to go if you want maximum comfort. The next one we're going to talk about is for my almost bagger bros, and this is a good alternative to you heritage riders out there if you're coming from a heritage. This is the bike I almost got in an accident on. You just seen that right there. But this is the Super Chief Limited, and so it's not going to come with a big fairing. It's still going to be in that soft tail type of range. So if you want something more than let's say a Scout 60, but you don't want to go full bagger, for whatever reason that may be, this is a good option. You can get these things, with the touch screen, the ride command. So that's a very powerful unit, little 4-inch screen. You get the removable windshield. You get the leather bags. And so on this bike specifically, this color, everything, the way this bike is set up, minus the chrome, it is nearly perfect for this type of bike. When it comes to a second bike or like one that I would love to take up in the mountains, this is the bike right here, man, that I believe is one of the best, bikes for that type of thing, man. If you do mountain riding and you want something with a windshield, if you're doing, kind of longer distance stuff, if you're doing bike nights, if you're doing anything really, this bike can almost do it all, and it's going to come in much cheaper than a traditional bagger will. The Super Chief Limited, when it comes to the Chief lineup, is definitely my favorite. Some others you may want to look at. The Chief Bobber is another good one, and they also have the Sport Chief that recently came out. So if you want something sportier, well, there you go. You also have 120 foot-pounds of torque in this motor, by the way, the Thunderstroke 116. Next one we're going to talk about, this is actually an older video, man. I need to revisit the Chieftain Dark Horse specifically, but that's what it is, man. The Chieftain is the best alternative if you're coming from a street glide, or if you want a bagger, but you want the Batwing style fairing, although this one is significantly different in shape and pretty much everything, especially like your cluster. to the outside of it, it is very different than an actual batwing fairing. But if this is what you're looking for, you want hard bags, you want riding modes, you want the full size ride command system right there, and you want the ultimate touring machine with this type of fairing, this is the way to go. The Chieftain, now this is a little bit older video, okay, so I apologize, the quality isn't nearly as good as our newer ones, but regardless, man, the red and the black, I forgot what they call this actual red. I think they still make it too, by the way. Looks fantastic. You know, if you're riding 2-up, if you want hard, lockable storage, one nice thing that you will find on all of the Indian baggers is your key fob not only starts up the bike, but you can also hit a button, boom, the whole bike is locked up. No getting down there, fumbling with barrel keys or anything like that. Big old floorboards, crash bars, the whole deal. The Indian Chieftain is a fantastic alternative to the Street Glide if this is what you're looking for. By the way, unlike a lot of motorcycles, you have sport modes. You have different modes that you can use to tailor to your riding style or the conditions. So you can take this specific bike and actually change it up depending on what you're doing. All right, we're getting down to the wire here. The best-selling Indian is the Indian Scout, and to me, this is the second best Indian that you can buy. Again, this is highly dependent upon what you're doing, but man, when it comes to an around-town ripper, which is what I've deemed this thing, it's the ultimate bike for that, man. Now, the one you're looking at here is the Rogue 60. What I believe to be the best Scout, period, is the Rogue, not the 60, the regular Rogue. And the reason I say that, first of all, the handlebars, man, they come right to you, and I'm all about comfort, man. You know, if you want something that's sportier, go with the Scout Bobber. If you want something that's a little more laid back, go with the regular Scout, right? You know, so there's a variety of flavors, but I like the Scout Rogue. You get a little mini windshield, and those little mini apes are where it's at. Not only that, you get 100 horsepower. So if you've been riding bikes a while and you're very comfortable with yourself on one of these, and you don't want to go with a 60, which is more tailored to newer and returning riders, the regular Scout, like I said, gives you 100 horsepower. And a bike that's like mid 550 pounds, something like that. So this thing is truly a ripper. It's something that you can enjoy for a long time. And yet, you know, depending on who you are, I guess it could be something that you could ease your way into, right? So you do get the riding modes and all that kind of stuff as well. You almost get full LEDs except for the headlight, of course. But regardless, man, this is a fantastic second bike. It's a fantastic commuter, bike night, that type of thing as well. And really, it's a good bike in the mountains, or if you're doing the tail or whatever kind of riding you do, this thing is tailored really good to shorter rides, curvy roads, and just ripping down the road. I absolutely love the Indian Scout Rogue. And the last one we're going to talk about is the Indian Challenger. Again, if you're looking for a bagger, this is the way to go. But not just any Indian Challenger. I am talking about the Challenger Elite. To me, this is the cream of the crop. Now, the Pursuit is a nice bike, right? And so it's got the same type of fairing. Of course, it is a frame-mounted fairing, so it's not going to move on you. A great counterpart if you're coming from the Road Glide or something like that. You get full LED lighting all the way around. You got that bonnet there in the front that lights up. You got the lights that go on the bags. You get the hydraulically adjusted Fox shock, so you can do that right from the screen, right? You can set your parameters. Okay, I have a passenger or I don't. I got a tour pack or I don't. I got this much weight in my bags, and it's going to automatically adjust for you. One of the best parts about this bike too is the 108 Power Plus. 128 foot-pounds of torque and 122 horsepower makes this the most powerful bagger on the road and one of the slickest bikes out there, man. To me, you know, I want to say it's about $6,000 more, maybe $7,000 more than a Dark Horse. I like the Dark Horse too. I think it's a fantastic bike, but this one is just literally the cream of the crop when it comes to the Challenger. And if you want a bike that is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful bagger out there, and one that literally just glides smooth as butter, this is the way to go. The Indian Challenger Elite is still my favorite bike from Indian. So depending upon what you're looking for from Indian, this will hopefully give you some good ideas and some information to go off of if you're switching over to the Indian brand. Love to hear from you guys, man. What is your favorite Indian in the lineup? Make sure you leave me those comments down below. Again, if you like what I do, consider subscribing. Also, if you want to join us even further and become a part of the community, man, you can join us on Patreon. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.